Imagine planning your dream vacation only to find out you can't go without a visa. That's the reality for Americans wanting to visit certain countries now. Once open and welcoming, these places have changed their rules, and it's causing quite a stir. Why are these countries tightening their borders? And more importantly, is your favorite destination on this list? As travel restrictions shift, it's crucial to stay informed. So, what's behind this sudden change, and how will it affect your travel plans? Stay tuned as we dive into the details of these new visa requirements. Number 8. Saudi Arabia. All right, let's dive into the fascinating world of Saudi Arabia and why it's one of those places where Americans now need a visa to visit. First off, if you're an American planning a trip to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you'll need to get your paperwork in order before you even think about packing your bags. The process is pretty straightforward, though. You can apply online for a Saudi ivisa, which is super convenient. This ivisa allows multiple entries, with each visit lasting up to 90 days within a 1-year validity period. Alternatively, there's a single entry option that lets you stay for 30 days within a 3-month period. It's worth noting that while you can technically get a visa on arrival, it's generally advised to sort it out online beforehand to avoid those pesky airport lines and potential delays. Now let's talk about what you need to have in hand before you jet off. A valid U.S. passport is a must, and it should be good for at least 6 months beyond your planned travel dates. This is crucial because without it, you won't even make it past the check-in counter. Also, if you're thinking about working or studying there, you'll need a specific type of visa. For work, there's the Saudi employment visa, and for studies, a student visa is required. Each comes with its own set of requirements, like health checks and authenticated documents, so make sure you've got all your ducks in a row. And hey, if you're planning on staying long-term, there's a residence visa to consider, but that's a whole other ballgame. Number 7. Algeria. If you're an American planning to visit Algeria, you'll need to get a visa in advance from an Algerian embassy or consulate. This requirement is part of Algeria's reciprocal visa policy, which means they require visas from countries that do the same for Algerians. So if you're thinking of just hopping on a plane and sorting things out when you land, think again. However, there's a little loophole for those arriving via cruise ships who are part of organized shore excursions. They don't need a visa in advance. But if you're planning to explore the southern cities, you might qualify for a visa on arrival, provided it's organized by an approved travel agency. Just a heads up, though, if your passport has Israeli entry stamps, you might face some difficulties entering the country. Now let's paint a picture of Algeria itself. It's the largest country in Africa, covering a whopping 2,381,741 square kilometers. Most of this vast land is dominated by the Sahara Desert, which makes up more than 90% of the country's area. But don't let that fool you into thinking it's all sand dunes and camels. The northern part of Algeria is quite different, with fertile lands and mountainous regions like the Tel Atlas and the Saharan Atlas. These areas are where most of the population lives, enjoying a Mediterranean climate that's quite a contrast to the arid south. The capital city, Algiers, sits on the Mediterranean coast and is a bustling hub of activity, blending modernity with historical charm. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe. Number 6. China. All right, let's dive into this topic with a focus on China. Now, if you're an American planning to visit China, there's quite a bit you need to know about the visa requirements and travel advisories. First off, it's crucial to understand that you must obtain a visa before arriving in the People's Republic of China, PRC. Your passport should have at least 6 months validity remaining, and if your visa isn't in your valid passport, the biographical data on both documents must match exactly. Failure to meet these requirements could result in denial of entry and possibly additional penalties. For those who plan to work in China, securing the correct visa is essential, as working on a student or tourist visa can lead to detention, deportation, criminal charges, or even imprisonment. It's also important to note that you need a valid visa to exit China, and overstaying your visa can result in fines or detention. Now, let's talk about some specific regions within China that have unique entry requirements. If you're thinking about visiting the Tibet Autonomous Region, TAR, you'll need a special permit for tourist travel, which is different from a regular PRC visa. These permits are often obtained through travel agents in China. However, be aware that the U.S. government has limited ability to assist if you encounter problems in TAR, as the PRC government typically doesn't allow U.S. personnel to travel there, even for consular assistance. On a lighter note, if you're heading to Hainan, there's a bit of good news. U.S. citizens can enter this province visa-free for up to 30 days for tourism and other activities, provided they arrive by direct international flight or via Hong Kong or Macau. Lastly, let's touch on some general travel advisories and safety tips for Americans in China. The tourism industry in China is unevenly regulated, so safety inspections for equipment and facilities might not always occur. Hazardous areas may not be clearly marked, and staff might not be properly trained or certified. In case of serious injury, sophisticated medical treatment is usually available only in major cities, and first responders might be slower in rural areas. Therefore, it's advisable for U.S. citizens to purchase medical evacuation insurance. Additionally, if your passport is lost or stolen, you'll need to apply for a new one at the U.S. Embassy or nearest Consulate General, along with a new PRC visa. Filing a police report at the nearest station is also necessary. Remember, while traveling in China, you're subject to local laws, and violating them, even unknowingly, can lead to expulsion, arrest, or imprisonment. Number 5. Republic of Congo. First up, the Republic of Congo. Now, don't confuse it with its neighbor, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Republic of Congo is like the quieter sibling, but that doesn't mean it's any less interesting. If you're an American planning to visit, you'll need to secure a visa beforehand. This isn't just a quick stamp at the airport. You have to apply through the Congolese embassy or consulate. And while you're at it, make sure you have all your documents in order, because working without authorization can land you in hot water, with penalties ranging from deportation to prison time. Safety is another big reason why the Republic of Congo is on this list. Political violence and civil unrest aren't uncommon here. In fact, past political demonstrations have sometimes escalated into armed clashes, resulting in injuries and even deaths. The U.S. government has limited ability to provide emergency services outside Brazzaville and Pointe Noire, so if you're venturing beyond these cities, you're pretty much on your own. The borders are porous, especially with the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Central African Republic, which means cross-border crime and armed activity can occur. It's like living next to a noisy neighbor who occasionally throws wild parties. Except these parties involve armed poachers and roadblocks manned by soldiers looking for bribes. And let's not forget about the wildlife. The Republic of Congo is home to some stunning national parks and wildlife areas. But before you start dreaming of safaris and adventure tours, remember that armed poachers are a real threat in some parks and forested border regions. You'll want to heed all instructions given by guides or trackers and ensure you have proper medical and medevac insurance. It's a bit like going on a roller coaster ride. You want to make sure the safety bar is securely fastened before you take off. Number 4. Iran. Next, we have Iran, a country that's as rich in history as it is in complexities. For Americans, visiting Iran requires more than just a visa. It requires navigating a labyrinth of regulations and potential risks. The U.S. Department of State has issued a Level 4 travel advisory, which is essentially a big red flag saying, "Do not travel." The reasons? Well, they range from the risk of terrorism and civil unrest to the arbitrary arrest and wrongful detention of U.S. citizens. It's like walking into a minefield where the mines are invisible and could go off at any moment. Iranian authorities have a track record of detaining U.S. citizens, particularly those with dual nationality, on charges like espionage or posing a threat to national security. Even if you don't consider yourself Iranian, the Iranian government might see things differently. Dual nationals are often denied access to consular services, and if you're married to an Iranian citizen, things can get even trickier. Women who marry Iranian men acquire Iranian nationality, and leaving the country without the husband's consent can be a legal nightmare. It's like being caught in a web where every move is scrutinized and could lead to unexpected consequences. Despite these challenges, Iran remains a country of incredible beauty and cultural richness. From the bustling bazaars of Tehran to the ancient ruins of Persepolis, there's so much to see and experience. But if you're an American, you'll need to weigh the risks carefully. The Iranian Civil Code, exit permits, and the potential for being targeted by authorities are all factors to consider. It's a bit like being offered a delicious piece of cake but being told that it might contain a hidden chili pepper. Tempting, but potentially painful. Number 3. Brunei. Next up, Brunei. This small yet wealthy nation on the island of Borneo has some pretty specific entry requirements for U.S. citizens. If you're planning a trip there, your passport needs to be valid for at least 6 months beyond your stay, and you should have at least 6 blank pages available. That's right, 6. It's almost as if they're saying, we want to make sure you've got plenty of room for our stamps. And don't forget the e-arrival card registration, which is mandatory before you even set foot in Brunei. It's an online process, separate from the visa, but crucial nonetheless. No fee is required for this, so at least your wallet gets a break. Now, if you're thinking of staying longer than 90 days, you'll need a visa. And here's where it gets interesting. Brunei takes its immigration laws very seriously. Overstaying your welcome can lead to some harsh penalties, including jail time, fines, and even caning. Yes, you read that right, caning. So, it's best to keep track of your calendar while enjoying the lush rainforests and stunning mosques. Oh, and if you're entering for employment purposes, be prepared for a medical examination, especially if you have HIV/AIDS, as there are specific restrictions in place. Lastly, let's talk health. Before you arrive, you'll need to complete a health declaration through the Bru Health mobile app or their website. This is part of Brunei's efforts to keep infectious diseases at bay. And if you're suspected of carrying something contagious, quarantine might be in your future. So pack your patience along with your sunscreen. Number 2, Liberia. Now, if you're an American planning a trip to this West African nation, you'll need to get your paperwork in order before you even think about packing your bags. Liberia requires U.S. citizens to have a valid visa prior to arrival. This isn't one of those places where you can just show up and sort it out at the airport. Nope. You need to plan ahead and secure that visa from a Liberian diplomatic mission or apply for an electronic visa on arrival. It's a bit like getting a backstage pass to a concert. You can't just waltz in without it. Now let's talk about what you need to get that visa. First off, your passport needs to be valid at the time of entry, and you'll need at least 1 blank page per entry. It's like having a clean slate for each new adventure. And don't forget about vaccinations. Yellow fever immunization is a must. Think of it as your golden ticket to enter the country. Plus, there's a COVID-19 requirement too. Proof of vaccination against the virus is necessary. So make sure you've got all your health ducks in a row before you head over. Once you've got your visa sorted, there are a few more things to keep in mind when traveling to Liberia. The country has its quirks, like any other place. For instance, if you're carrying more than $10,000 US, you'll need to declare it at the port of entry. And when it comes to leaving, you can't take more than $7,500 US in foreign currency banknotes with you. It's like playing a game of financial Tetris, making sure everything fits just right. Also, be prepared for some strict border controls and occasional closures, not just by Liberian authorities, but also by neighboring countries like Sierra Leone and Guinea. Corruption can be an issue at these borders, so it's wise to ask for official receipts if you're asked to pay any unexpected fines. Safety is another aspect to consider. Liberia's police force, while present, especially in the capital Monrovia, has limited resources. Outside the city, their presence dwindles, and crime can be a concern. Crimes of opportunity, such as residential burglary or armed robbery, are more common at night. So it's best to stay vigilant and avoid traveling after dark, particularly outside Monrovia. The roads aren't in the best condition and public street lighting is scarce. It's like navigating through a maze with a flickering flashlight, exciting but a bit risky. And if you ever find yourself in a sticky situation, remember that the local emergency number is 911, though service reliability can be hit or miss. Lastly, let's touch on the cultural and social landscape. Liberia doesn't have a formal tourism infrastructure, so you're pretty much on your own when it comes to exploring. It's like being an adventurer in uncharted territory. Medical facilities are limited, and serious medical issues might require evacuation to countries with better healthcare systems. Also, be mindful of local laws and customs. For example, consensual same-sex relations are criminalized, and certain behaviors that might seem harmless elsewhere could land you in hot water. So, it's crucial to respect the local culture and stay informed about the do's and don'ts. With all this in mind, Liberia offers a unique travel experience, but it's essential to be well prepared and cautious as you embark on your journey. Number 1. Russia. First off, Russia has a notoriously complex and restrictive visa regime for foreigners. It's not just about having a valid U.S. passport. You also need a bona fide visa issued by a Russian embassy or consulate. And here's the kicker. You can't get this visa upon arrival. So, make sure you apply well in advance, or you might find yourself on a return flight home at your own expense. Now let's talk about the nitty-gritty of these visas. Russian visas come with specific entry and exit dates, written in the European style, day/month/year. This means you can only enter Russia on or after the start date and must leave by the expiration date. There's no wiggle room here, folks. If you overstay even by a day, you'll be stuck until your sponsor can sort out an exit visa for you. And trust me, that process can take up to 20 days, leaving you stranded in Russia at your own cost. So, double-check those dates and ensure everything is in order before you set foot on Russian soil. Speaking of sponsors, every foreign traveler needs one. This could be a hotel, tour company, or even a relative. The sponsor's name will be on your visa, and they're responsible for any changes or extensions. So, keep their contact info handy because you'll need their help if anything goes awry. Oh, and if you're thinking of visiting any of Russia's closed cities or regions, think again. Entering these areas without prior authorization can lead to arrest, fines, or deportation. So, always list all areas you plan to visit on your visa application and register with authorities upon arrival. Lastly, let's touch on dual citizenship. If you're a dual U.S.-Russian national entering Russia on a Russian passport, be prepared for some potential headaches. If your Russian passport expires or gets lost, you won't be allowed to leave until you obtain a new one, which can take months. And if you're traveling with minors who have Russian citizenship, they need a power of attorney to travel alone or with non-parental adults. Without it, they won't be able to enter or leave Russia. So, whether it's navigating the visa process or dealing with dual citizenship issues, traveling to Russia requires careful planning and attention to detail. If you enjoyed this video, let us know in the comments section down below and turn on your notifications to know when next we upload. See you in our next video. Bye-bye.